Namaskaram, everyone. I'm delighted to welcome all of you to today's event. My name is Yuri, and along with Subramanya, we are both Isha volunteers, and we will be taking you through today's proceedings. As we all know, today happens to be the International Day of Forests. It's an occasion for us to reflect on the progress that we are making on creating an environmentally sustainable Bharat. Indeed, it's an occasion for us to redouble our commitment and effort in that direction. In that context, it is my singular honor to welcome amongst us 4 dignitaries. We have with us today the honor of having the Union Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Shri Prakash Javadekar ji. The Honorable Minister, as you know, has been at the forefront of shaping and catalyzing India's ecological trajectory. It is my singular privilege to welcome amongst us the Right Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka, Shri B S Yeddiyurappa. The Honorable Chief Minister, as we all know, has been the driving force behind a whole slew of interventions which are making Karnataka, as it were, the role model for the entire country. We also have the distinguished Karnataka Minister for Health and Family Welfare, Dr. K. Sudhakar. And finally, we have with us our Sadhguru, the yogi, the mystic, and the visionary, the man who has dedicated his life to bringing well-being to individuals and society at large. I now request the 3 guests and dignitaries and Sadhguru to kindly grace the dais. To kick off the proceedings, there is no better way than requesting Sadhguru to make an offering of water to our three distinguished guests. This is no ordinary water. It is water from the very source of the river Kaveri, from Kaveri. On the occasion of the International Day of Forests, before we start talking about the progress that we're making, it would be instructive to reflect on the nature of the ecological challenge that is facing us all. The rivers of our country are dying. What else would you say if you knew that rivers that have flowed unencumbered for thousands of years suddenly, in the matter of a mere 2 generations, decline by 40% or more? And it's not just the rivers. The same is happening with groundwater, and it's the same problem. The reason is widespread deforestation. And with deforestation comes the additional havoc of cyclical droughts and floods. To make matters worse, there's an erosion of topsoil and reduction in soil fertility. Not surprisingly, therefore, vast tracts of our country, and it's estimated almost a quarter of it, risks turning into a desert. And there is acute farmer distress. Closer to home, our own dear river Kaveri is suffering the same plight. The river Kaveri, as you know, has been the veritable lifeline, the mother, as it were, of Karnataka and indeed of South India for thousands of years. Sadhguru has had an intimate relationship with the Kaveri River from his childhood and has seen her decline firsthand. Perhaps nothing highlights his deep sense of anguish better than a song that he wrote and then sung. I'd like to share that with you. Could we have the video, please?
ಕಾವೇರಿ ಹಾಡು. ಕಾವೇರಿ ತಾಯಿ ನಿನ್ನ ಮಡಿಲ ಮಗು ನಾನು, ಹಾಲ ಮೊಲೆಕೊಟ್ಟ ನಿನ್ನ ಕಡಿದು ಬಿಟ್ಟೆನು ನಾನು, ನನ್ನ ಬಾಳಿಗೂ ಮುಕ್ತಿಗೂ ಮಾರ್ಗವು ನೀನು, ನಿನ್ನ ಮಡಿಲಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದವ ನಾನು, ತಾಯಿಯೇ ಒದೆದ ಮೂಡನು ನಾನು, ಕ್ಷಮಿಸಿರಿ ಈ ಮೂಡನ ಬಾಳು, ಇನ್ನೂ ಹುಟ್ಟದ ಮಗುವಿನ ಹಾಳು, ನನ್ನ ನಾಡಿಯ ರಕ್ತವೇ ನೀನು, ನನ್ನ ಜೀವವೇ ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸುವೆ ನಿನಗೆ ಕಾವೇರಿ ತಾಯಿ.
ಕಾವೇರಿ ತಾಯಿ ನಿನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿಲ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ನಾವು, ಕಾವೇರಿ ತಾಯಿ ನಿನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿಲ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ನಾವು, ಎದೆ ಹಾಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟ ನಿನ್ನ ಕಡಿದು ಬಿಟ್ಟೆನು ನಾವು, ಎದೆ ಹಾಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟ ನಿನ್ನ ಕಡಿದು ಬಿಟ್ಟೆನು ನಿನ್ನ ಮಡಿಲಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದವರು ನಾವು, ನಿನ್ನ ಮಡಿಲಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದವರು ನಾವು. ಕಾವೇರಿ ತಾಯಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವವ ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸುವೆವು, ಕಾವೇರಿ ತಾಯಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವವ ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸುವೆವು. ತಾಯಿಯನ್ನೇ ಮರೆತ ಮೂಢರು ನಾವು ನಾವು, ತಾಯಿಯನ್ನೇ ಮರೆತ ಮೂಢರು ನಾವು ನಾವು. ಕ್ಷಮಿಸು ನೀ ಮೂಢರ ಬಾಳನ್ನು, ಕ್ಷಮಿಸು ನೀ ಮೂಢರ ಬಾಳನ್ನು. ಇನ್ನು ಹುಟ್ಟದ ಮಗುವಿಗೆ ಬೇಕು ನಿನ್ನ ನೆರಳು, ಇನ್ನು ಹುಟ್ಟದ ಮಗುವಿಗೆ ಬೇಕು ನಿನ್ನ ನೆರಳು. ನಮ್ಮ ನಾಡಿಯ ರಕ್ತವೇ ನೀನು, ರಕ್ತವೇ ನೀನು. ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವವ ನಿನಗೆ ನಾವು ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸುವೆವು. ಕಾವೇರಿ ತಾಯಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವವ ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸುವೆವು, ಕಾವೇರಿ ತಾಯಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವವ ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸುವೆವು, ಕಾವೇರಿ ತಾಯಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವವೇ ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸುವೆವು, ಕಾವೇರಿ ತಾಯಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವವೇ ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸುವೆವು.
I get goose pimples every time I hear that song. It is just so inspiring. But perhaps if there's one thing more inspiring than the song, is the thought that maybe as a generation of people, we're finally getting our act together to solve some of our long-standing problems. We have all been witness to some of the decisive policy action that the central government and the government of Karnataka have been taking. These, in turn, have created a conducive environment for Isha and others to catalyze change on the ground. In his customary visionary way, 23 years ago, Sadhguru started the movement to save our rivers, our forests, and the very soil that feeds us all. There were many, many years of toil, and as he often describes it, it was not just about planting seeds in the soil, but planting seeds in the minds of people. That was vital to create a broad-based movement. The people's movement that he created reached a decisive milestone in September of 2017, when an unprecedented 162 million Indians responded to his call to save the rivers of the country. Not surprisingly, Cauvery Calling, the people's movement to save the Kaveri River, has been going from strength to strength. It has already involved 107,000 farmers and has planted or helped plant 52 million trees, making it the world's largest farmer-driven ecological movement. And there isn't a shade of doubt that that momentum will continue. For one, very simple and compelling reason. The model that Sadhguru has created for agroforestry for poor farmers enables poor farmers to increase their income by 3 to 8 times. And so the economic development of the farmers is going hand in hand with the ecological development. And this, as you know, is in sharp contrast to the normal situation that we're all used to, where ecology and economy actually are often at loggerheads. Having described to you briefly the movement from forest to farm, I'd now like to move into the main section of today's proceedings. To kick that off, I'd request the Honourable Karnataka Minister, Dr. K. Sudhakar, to share his perspectives with all of us on this day. Sir.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನನ್ನ ಭಕ್ತಿಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದಂಥ ಪ್ರಣಾಮಗಳನ್ನು ಸದ್ಗುರು ಶ್ರೀ ವಾಸುದೇವರವ್ರಿಗೆ, ಜಗ್ಗಿ ವಾಸುದೇವರವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಪಿಸುತ್ತಾ, ನನ್ನ ನಾಯಕರು, ಈ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಜನಪ್ರಿಯ ಹಾಗೂ ಜನಪರವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಶ್ರೀ ಯಡಿಯೂರಪ್ಪನವರು, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸಚಿವರು ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಶ್ರೀ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ್ ಜಾವಡೇಕರ್ ಅವರೇ, ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಹೋದರ ಸಹೋದರಿಯರೇ, ಮಾಧ್ಯಮ ಗೆಳೆಯರೇ, ಇದು ನಿಜವಾಗಿಯೂ ಕೂಡ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಆಲೋಚನೆ, ಅರ್ಥಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಆಂದೋಲನ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕರಿಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಇಡೀ ವಿಶ್ವದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ವೀಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ವಿಶ್ವ ಅರಣ್ಯ ದಿನ. ಆ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಹಾರ್ದಿಕ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ, ನನ್ನ ಕೆಲವು ಮಾತುಗಳನ್ನು ಈ ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಥಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ, ವೈಶಿಷ್ಟ್ಯಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವೇದಿಕೆಗೆ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಇವತ್ತು ಬರಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಇಶಾ ಫೌಂಡೇಶನ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಹೃದಯಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದಂಥ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆಗಳು. ಇವತ್ತು ಇದು ಇಡೀ ಜಗತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹುಶಃ 100 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಅವಧಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಥ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಆಂದೋಲನ ನಾನಂತೂ ಕಂಡಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಇಶಾ ಫೌಂಡೇಶನ್ ಅವರು ಕಾವೇರಿ ಕಾಲಿಂಗ್, ಇವತ್ತು ಸುಮಾರು 1,000ಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ಸನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಇವತ್ತು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಮೂಲಕ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಅರಣ್ಯವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಇಡೀ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ 5,000 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ಗಳಷ್ಟು, ಚದರ ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ಗಳಷ್ಟು ಅರಣ್ಯವನ್ನು ವಿಸ್ತರಣೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು 20%ಗೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕೂಡ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಹಂಚಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಯಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಕಾವೇರಿ ಈ ಭಾಗದ ಜೀವನದಿ. ತಲಕಾವೇರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದರೂ ಕೂಡ 3 ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಜೀವನದಿಯಾಗಿದೆ. ಸುಮಾರು 8 ಕೋಟಿ ಜನರಿಗೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಈಕೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಹರಿತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಳೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಬದುಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಈ ಕಾವೇರಿಯನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಸಂರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಆದ್ಯ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇವತ್ತು ಇಶಾ ಫೌಂಡೇಶನ್ನ ಸಂಸ್ಥಾಪಕರು, ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶಿಗಳು ಶ್ರೀ ಸದ್ಗುರುರವರು ಇವತ್ತು ಈ ಆಂದೋಲನಕ್ಕೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಕರೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು 188 ತಾಲೂಕುಗಳು ಬರ್ತವೆ. ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ತಾಲೂಕುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ 1 ಕೋಟಿಗೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಇವತ್ತು ಗಿಡಗಳನ್ನು ನಡೆಸಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು ನಿಜವಾಗಿಯೂ ಕೂಡ ಶ್ಲಾಘನೀಯವಾದದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಬಯಸ್ತೇನೆ. ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮದು ಸನಾತನ ಧರ್ಮ. ಸನಾತನ ಧರ್ಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಗೂ ಮನುಷ್ಯನಿಗೂ ಅವಿನಾಭಾವ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಇವತ್ತು ಇತಿಹಾಸದಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ, ಚರಿತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಭಗವಾನ್ ಭಗವತಿಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇವತ್ತು ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳಿಗೂ ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ಅವಿನಾಭಾವ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇದೆ. ಈಶ್ವರನ ಕುಟುಂಬ ನೋಡಿದಾಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಈಶ್ವರನ ವಾಹನ ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ನಂದಿ ಅಂತ. ಪಾರ್ವತಿ ದೇವಿದು ಇವತ್ತು ಆದಿ ದುರ್ಗಾ ಸಿಂಹನ ಒಂದು ವಾಹನವನ್ನು ಇವತ್ತು ಸಿಂಬಾಲಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಇಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಸಿಂಹ ಹಸುವನ್ನು ತಿನ್ನುವಂಥ ಪ್ರವೃತ್ತಿ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಅವರ ಮಗನಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಗಣೇಶನ ವಾಹನ ಇಲಿ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಈಶ್ವರನು ತನ್ನ ಕೊರಳಿಗೆ ಹಾವನ್ನು ಶೃಂಗಾರ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಆಭರಣ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾಗಾಭರಣ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಅಂಥ ಹಾವಿಗೆ ಆಹಾರ ಇಲಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಅವರ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬ ಮಗ ಸುಬ್ರಹ್ಮಣ್ಯನ ವಾಹನ ನವಿಲು ಹಾವನ್ನು ನುಂಗುವಂಥ ಪ್ರವೃತ್ತಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಇಷ್ಟಿದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಹಬಾಳ್ವೆಯನ್ನು ಇವತ್ತು ಆ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹಿಷ್ಣುತೆಯನ್ನು ಅವರು ಬೋಧನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಆ ಕಾಲಕ್ಕೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಕೋಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟಾಲರೆನ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಫಿಲಾಸಫಿ ಆಫ್ ಎಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. The fundamental principles of ecosystem is coexistence and tolerance. So without the microorganism, aquatic life, amphibians, mammals, reptiles, humans can't sustain in this world. If we do not understand the fundamentals of this, we are not going to leave a good, healthy environment to our future generations. We have a responsibility, the 21st century people, we have especially more responsibility, because in the name of development and urbanization, we are trying to only create the concrete jungles. We need to understand we have only one place, that is earth, to live. If we have to live, the water bodies, the animals, the environment should be protected. The ecosystem should be in right balance. It is not just important for us only on the day of World's Environment Day or World's Forest Day. We all do millions and millions of saplings of plants. But how many we really try to see that it grows, it sustains? Because for a plant to grow and become a tree, it needs several years of perseverance, constant monitoring, constant watering and nourishment. So my dear friends, in my opinion, in centuries, this is the largest kind of movement to protect our water bodies, conservation of water bodies, and also improving our forest cover. I really acknowledge from the bottom of my heart from the government of Karnataka, Shri Sadhguru, to have initiated such a global movement. This is not just limited to the Cauvery basin. I think probably I come from a district, Chikbalapur, where we really, there is a scarceful, scanty, deprived for even drinking water. This is the land, once upon a time we had thousands of ponds. Today most of the ponds are dry because of deforestation. So today we have a mandate to we have a responsibility to ensure that afforestation, we improve the forest cover and ensure that water bodies are conserved and preserved for the generations to come. So unless that balance is maintained, it is really difficult for all of us to sustain. So with that note, I really take this opportunity to thank the Isha Foundation to have started this great initiative, the government under our Honorable Chief Minister, able leader, who is leading from front in these COVID times. He has ensured without the proper health systems in Karnataka, we cannot progress economically or any other front. So no health and no wealth. We have understood that, and our Honorable Chief Minister has provided lot of focus and attention to the area where many years it was deprived. So I really acknowledge and congratulate our Honorable Chief Minister, Sadhguru, and especially our Union Honorable Minister Shri Prakash Javadekar ji. Under his leadership, it is a record that over 5,000 square kilometers of forest cover has been developed in this country. So this is the decisive leadership that we have today. And our Honorable Prime Minister, as we all know that if we have reduced the tree cutting today, that is because of the wonderful initiation under Sujala scheme, where he ensured more than 10 crore household women has got free gas connection today in the rural areas. This is one of the most important aspects that we have controlled, and we have saved our forest and planet. We have still lot more responsibility to ensure that we should become carbon neutral state and the country. It's a far long journey that Karnataka is still in. Like the only good example that I can quote is our neighboring country, where Bhutan is the only country in the world which has carbon plus. So we should understand it is not carbon neutral. It is the only country where they estimate, not through GDP, they estimate the happiness index in the country. That happiness comes only through the environment, good ecosystems. So I really would like to take a cue from this Bhutan, and we should also travel in this direction. Thank you for the opportunity again. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಸುಧಾಕರ್ ಸರ್. ಬಹಳ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಅವಧಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ ಪಠ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಒಂದು ಪುಟ್ಟ ಹಾಳೆಯನ್ನು ತುಂಬ ಅರ್ಥವತ್ತಾಗಿ ವಿವರಿಸ್ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್. ಕಾವೇರಿ ಕೂಗು ಅಭಿಯಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೃಷಿ ಅರಣ್ಯ ಯೋಜನೆಗೆ ಅತಿ ಉತ್ತಮ ಬೆಂಬಲ ನೀಡುತ್ತಿರುವ ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಒಂದು. ಸನ್ಮಾನ್ಯ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಯವರಾದ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಬಿ ಎಸ್ ಯಡಿಯೂರಪ್ಪನವರು ಇದರತ್ತ ತೀವ್ರ ಗಮನ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಬೆಂಬಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka, Shri B S Yeddiyurappa ji, has been very supportive to the activities of agroforestry under Kaveri Calling. We invite him for his address.
Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev ji, Manya Prakash Javadekar ji, Honorable Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Information and Broadcasting, Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises, ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಸನ್ಮಾನ್ಯ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಸಚಿವರಾದಂಥ ಸುಧಾಕರ್ ಅವರೇ, ಎದುರುಗಡೆ ಕುಂತಿರುವಂಥ ಇಸ್ರೋ ಮಾಜಿ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಾದಂಥ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕಿರಣ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಅವರೇ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇರಿರುವಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಂಧುಗಳೇ, ಮಾಧ್ಯಮದ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಅರಣ್ಯ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆಯ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು. ಸಸ್ಯ ಸಂಪತ್ತಿನ ಅಗರವಾದ ಅರಣ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸುವ ದಿಶೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಶ್ವ ಅರಣ್ಯ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆ ಮಹತ್ವ ಪಡೆದುಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. On the occasion of International Day of Forest, I congratulate all practicing forestry community and farmers who have made significant contribution for the consistent increase of forests in Karnataka. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಸಮೃದ್ಧ ಅರಣ್ಯ ಮತ್ತು ವನ್ಯಜೀವಿ ಸಂಪತ್ತನ್ನು ಸಂರಕ್ಷಿಸಿ ಪೋಷಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮ ಆದ್ಯತೆಯಾಗಿದೆ. ನೈಸರ್ಗಿಕ ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲಗಳ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿಯುತ ಬಳಕೆಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಒತ್ತು ನೀಡಲಿದ್ದು, ಇದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಈ ಸಾಲಿನ ಆಯವ್ಯಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಅನುದಾನವನ್ನು ಸಹ ತೆಗೆದಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಇಚ್ಛೆಪಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಬಂಧುಗಳೇ, ಮಾನವ ವನ್ಯಜೀವಿ ಸಂಘರ್ಷವನ್ನು ನಿಯಂತ್ರಿಸಲು ವನ್ಯಜೀವಿಗಳ ಸುಗಮ ಮತ್ತು ಅಬಾಧಿತ ಚಲನವಲನಕ್ಕೆ 2 ಅರಣ್ಯ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳ ಮಧ್ಯದ ಕಾರಿಡಾರ್ ಪ್ರದೇಶವನ್ನು ಖರೀದಿಸಲು ಹೊಸ ನೀತಿಯನ್ನು ರೂಪಿಸಲಾಗಿದೆ. ರಾಜ್ಯದ ನಗರಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ವೃಕ್ಷ ಸಂಪತ್ತನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಸಿ ಉತ್ತಮ ಪರಿಸರವನ್ನು ಸೃಷ್ಟಿಸುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಯ್ದ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕರ ಸಹಭಾಗಿತ್ವದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಸಹಾಯದೊಂದಿಗೆ ಸ್ಮೃತಿ ವನಗಳ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮಾಡುವ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಹೊಂದಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ದೇಶದಲ್ಲೇ ಮೊದಲ ಬಾರಿಗೆ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಅರಣ್ಯಗಳ ವಿಧ ಮತ್ತು ಸಾಂದ್ರತೆ ವಿವರಗಳನ್ನು 50 ಸೆಂಟಿಮೀಟರ್ ಸ್ಯಾಟಲೈಟ್ ರೆಸಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಒಳಗೊಂಡ ನಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ತಯಾರಿಸಲಾಗಿದ್ದು, ಈ ವಿವರಗಳು ಅರಣ್ಯಗಳ ವೈಜ್ಞಾನಿಕ ನಿರ್ವಹಣೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹಕಾರಿಯಾಗಲಿದೆ. ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಸಿರು ಉಳಿಸಿ ಅರಣ್ಯ ಸಂಪತ್ತು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಸಲು ಕಾರಣವಾಗಿರುವ ಅರಣ್ಯ ಪಾಲಕರು, ವಿವಿಧ ಸಮುದಾಯದವರು ಮತ್ತು ರೈತರನ್ನು ನಾನು ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಭಿನಂದಿಸ ಬಯಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿ, ಪರಂಪರೆ ಮತ್ತು ನೈಸರ್ಗಿಕ ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲ ರಕ್ಷಣೆಗೆ ಒಟ್ಟು 2,945 ಕೋಟಿ ರೂಗಳ ಅನುದಾನವನ್ನು ಈ ವರ್ಷದ ಆಯವ್ಯಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಒದಗಿಸಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಇನ್ 2019, State of Forest report by Forest Survey of India, 1,025 square kilometer of forests has increased, which is the highest in the country. Karnataka government is committed to improving the economic status of the farmers and the health of the citizens. We are successfully running our flagship program, Krishi Aranya Protsaha Yojana, a scheme of incentives to farmers for growing trees on their land, where we have given rupees 125 rupees per plant for maintenance to the farmers. This scheme is on since 2012 and has been accepted very well by the farmers. Last year, we distributed about 3.73 crore saplings of various economically important plants to farmers all over the state. In year 2020-21, we disbursed incentives amounting to ₹27,000.87 crore for the planting efforts against surveying plants. In spite of COVID, for the coming session, we have raised 46 lakhs seedings for distribution up to farmers in 9 districts covering Cauvery River. Other than promoting planting on farmers' land, we have planted about 4.5 crore seedlings of various local varieties in 74,138 hectares of forests. I have directed the Forest Department to include fruit-yielding trees in their planting programs. To conserve and preserve the ecological heritage and consolidated biodiversity of coastal and marine ecosystems, we have approved Karnataka's first and India's second marine sanctuary at Apsarakonda in Uttara Karnataka district. We shall be shortly inaugurating the sanctuary. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Union Minister Shri Javadekar for approving the DPR for forest action for regeneration of river Kaveri and Krishna, covering the state's entire landscape. Under this program, afforestation measures would be undertaken at an estimated cost of 2,014.82 crores in forests and in farmers' lands in the Kaveri and Krishna basin over a period of 5 years. We are awaiting allocation of funds for the implementing of DPR. I would like to congratulate Sadhguru and Isha Outreach for its Kaveri Calling movement. I assure that the government would support the cause of environmental protection in all possible ways, sir. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಸರ್. Thank you very much for reiterating your support to the outreach program of Isha, Kaveri Calling. ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಅರಣ್ಯ, ಪರಿಸರ, ಹವಾಮಾನ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ, ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರಸಾರ, ಬೃಹತ್ ಕೈಗಾರಿಕೆಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕ ಉದ್ದಿಮೆಗಳ ಕ್ಯಾಬಿನೆಟ್ ಸಚಿವರಾಗಿರುವ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ್ ಜಾವಡೇಕರ್ ಅವರು ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಅರಣ್ಯ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆಯ ಸಂದರ್ಭ ಮತ್ತು ಕಾವೇರಿ ಕೂಗು ಅಭಿಯಾನದ 2ನೇ ವರ್ಷದ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಯ ಆರಂಭಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ತುಂಬ ಸಂತೋಷ. ಆನರಬಲ್ ಯೂನಿಯನ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್, climate change, information and broadcasting, heavy industries and public enterprises Minister is here to address us on this day of International Day of Forests and launching of Kaveri Calling Year 2. We invite you for your kind address, sir.
Sadhguru, Vasudev, protocol actually tells that CM is first. And you have a very dynamic Chief Minister in Yeddiyurappa. Most popular and is development oriented. But why I called Sadhguru's name first? Because we are 3 politicians here. We are in power today. Our job essentially is to ensure that people live better. People live with more means. That is the job of politician. To ensure physical progress. But why I took Sadhguru's name first? Because where our boundary ends, his boundary starts. And all such Sadhgurus tell us why to live and how to live. We provide means to live. So that is always in Chandragupta's time also, we used to say Chanakya Chandragupta. So this is always maybe religious, maybe social leadership. Swadeshe pujyate raja, vidwan sarvatra pujyate. So this is what is important to understand. My colleague Sudhakar, and I heard him first time, and he gave very beautiful lecture. But today is the World Forest Day, and I'm in Bengaluru, the best city, the green city of India. One of the green cities is Bengaluru. When I stayed here, I used to jog around through Kabban Park. And from there I felt that all cities must have forest in cities. Because we have gardens. That is also essential. But beyond gardens, there has to be a city forest within the limit of city. And therefore, we have started urban forestry in 200 cities. We have already sanctioned 27 cities grant, and we will have 172 more. So all corporation cities, where there is one forest, there will be another. Where there is no forest, there will be one. See, our culture is we worship water, we worship tree, we worship animal, even we worship snakes, because we feel this is Charachar Srishti. So all kinds of you explained is part of our life. And what a best place to come on Forest Day. Karnataka has registered the maximum growth in forest and tree cover. Dr. Sudhakar, it's not 5,000 square kilometers. In last 7 years, we have increased our tree cover by 15,000 square kilometers. But we have constraints, and that we need to understand. India has only 2.5% of the landmass of the world. But we have 16% population of the world. And 16% of the world's cattle population also. Both require land, water, and all other natural resources. So there is pressure. And unfortunately, we have only 4% of fresh rainwater resources. So what we need to do? We can't just complain and complain. Who can help for water? Nobody. We have to do ourselves. And when I was MLC in Maharashtra, I found out a valley of 11 villages which used to get 100 inches of rain during rainy season. But because there was no system, in January, the farmers and people were without water. So we started developing watershed development program. And within 4 years, we completed it successfully with people's participation. And the result was, where there was only single crop, now there are 3 crops, and everything has changed because water has come and stepped. We can do it. Yes, we can. And even revival of rivers are very important source, because what is civilization? It is all, Indian civilization has been staying for thousands of years alongside of rivers. Rivers is called Jivanadayini. So it gives life. And without water we can't survive. So our first job as a national task is to ensure that we harvest every drop of water which rain brings. We need to preserve, ensure its percolation. Then we must use water very scarcely, save water, generate water. And more importantly, recycle water and reuse water. We must ensure water is scarce resources must be preserved well, generated well, and used well. We have no right to abuse water. I was 4 years Member of Parliament from Madhya Pradesh. So I selected a village for adoption in Nanaji Deshmukh's area. near Chitrakoot. But I saw a very fantastic thing happening, social movement. Mandakini River. Every Sunday and Saturday, 500 youth, batch of 500 youths would come in the river, ensure its cleanliness, plucking what has been gone into the aquifers, and there would have been a resurgence of aquifers. They revived the river, and I've seen them working this for 3 years, and hundreds of kilometers of Mandakini River is now a living river. This is public participation, what can happen. What Sadhguru ji has said in Kaveri Calling is not only treating the river itself, but ensure that more water generates into river. How that will happen? By afforesting the strips along the river so that trees hold water, trees save soil, trees ensure that it percolates, and then finally it comes to river and river is revived. It's as simple as that. But it takes too much efforts, a conscious efforts, and with thousands and millions of people's participation. I think this is our national duty. And therefore, I have taken up a program. We have launched water and fodder augmentation in forest areas. Because I found out there is growing incidences of animal-human conflicts. Every year, 500 people get killed in this conflict with elephants only. 100 elephants also die. Once I had been at the edge of jungle and I was talking to villagers. I said, what to do? I was asking forest people. They said, we are trying to send them back, stop them coming from forest. But one villager told me, a farmer, that, sir, they come out because they don't get enough protein, grass, food, and water. That is why they come out. That's also one important reason. So we have to ensure water and fodder augmentation in forest area. And I am happy to announce this today, that we have launched, selected one forest area in each state this year, and center is providing funds and doing LiDAR technology survey. This is happening for the first time in India. First time in India. So what is this LiDAR technology? I am not a technology man. But those who know, I know that through drone, you map the whole valley, and it's a digital surface and digital elevation with the accuracy of 10 centimeters resolution. So this gives us a quite good, correct picture of where we need to work so that the water flows stops or water flow slows and ensures its percolation, and then naturally the rivers, because where the rivers are born, practically 90% of the rivers are born in forest. Himalayas is a different kind of ecology. But it is essentially a major source of rivers' origin is in forest. So if the forest part of the river if we ensure that they are survived, outside the forest, it is Yeddiyurappa and Sadhguru who can mobilize people and bring them together and grow more trees along the river side. I think this is very important. And therefore, I was to come for Kaveri Calling function in Chennai, but that day there was something urgent political development or an important meeting in Delhi, so I couldn't. So today I am here. Pranam to this movement. I always welcome all people initiatives, because this is the way, if we unite together to save, harvest and recycle and reuse the water, we will be saving the country. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. ನಾವು ಬರಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡಿರುವ ಕೃಷಿಕ ಬಂಧುಗಳ ಪೈಕಿ ಸಾಂಕೇತಿಕವಾಗಿ 4 ವೇದಿಕೆಗೆ ಬರಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಬೆಳೆದಿರುವ ಆರೋಗ್ಯಕರ ಸಸಿಗಳನ್ನು ವೇದಿಕೆಯ ಗಣ್ಯರಿಂದ ಕೊಡಮಾಡಿಸುವ ಸಮಯ. ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ್ NS ಮೂಗ್ತಿಹಳ್ಳಿ. ಚಂದ್ರಶೇಖರ್, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ವೇದಿಕೆಗೆ ಬನ್ನಿ. ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸಚಿವರಾದ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ್ ಜಾವಡೇಕರ್ ಅವರಿಂದ ತಾವು ಈ ಸಸಿಗಳನ್ನು ಸ್ವೀಕರಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ವಿನಂತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಗೆಳೆಯ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಯ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ್ ಜಾವಡೇಕರ್ ಸರ್, ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಯು ಟು ಕೈಂಡ್ಲಿ ಗಿವ್ ಹಿಮ್ ದ ಸ್ಯಾಪ್ಲಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಗೆಳೆಯ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಯ ವರದಿಗಾರರು, ಮಠಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸಂಶೋಧಕರು, 1400 ಪುಟಗಳ ಉದ್ಗ್ರಂಥ ರಚಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸಿಲ್ವರ್ ಓಕ್ ಬೆಳೆದರೆ ನೀರಿನ ಮಟ್ಟ ಕುಸಿಯುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಜಮೀನಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಅತಿ ಶೀಘ್ರವಾಗಿ ಸಾವಯವ ಇಂಗಾಲದ ಮಟ್ಟ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಸಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕಾವೇರಿ ಕೂಗು ಅಭಿಯಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟು ಭಾಗವಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಸರ್. ನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ಮಂಗಳಾ ಅವರು ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ವೇದಿಕೆಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ಮಂಗಳಾ ಅವರ ಸಾಧನೆಯನ್ನು ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಯವರಾದ ಯಡಿಯೂರಪ್ಪ ಸರ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. 18 ಎಕರೆ ಜಮೀನಿದೆ. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ನಾನು ಓದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. 4000 ಶ್ರೀಗಂಧ, 600 ನೇರಳೆ, 1000 ಸೀತಾಫಲ, 400 ಮಾವು, 500 ಸೀಬೆ, 2000 ಹೆಬ್ಬೇವು, 1000 ಮಾವು, 500 ರಕ್ತಚಂದನ, ಇಷ್ಟು ಮಾತ್ರ ಬೆಳೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರ ಜಮೀನಿನಲ್ಲಿ. ಈಗ ಕಾವೇರಿ ಕೂಗು ಅಭಿಯಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟು 3000 ಹೊನ್ನೆ ಸಸ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡು ನೆಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದು ತಾಯಿ ಮಂಗಳ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಅಮ್ಮ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ದಾರಿಯನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಅನುಸರಿಸಿದರೆ ಬಹಳ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ನಾಗರಾಜು ಅವರು ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಬರಬೇಕು. ಸಚಿವ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಸುಧಾಕರ್ ಅವರಿಂದ ಸ್ವೀಕರಿಸಬೇಕು. ತಂದೆ ಮಾದರಿ ಕೃಷಿಕರು, ಮಗ ಈಶಾ ಮೆಡಿಟೇಟರ್. ಮೊದಲ ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೃಷಿಕರಿಗೆ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಒದಗಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ಅವರನ್ನು ಹುರಿದುಂಬಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅನನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಬೆಂಬಲಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಆಹ್ವಾನವನ್ನು ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಸ್ವೀಕರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ನಾಗರಾಜ್ ಅವರೇ. ಕಾಂತರಾಜ್ ಪಟೇಲ್ ಅವರು, ರಾಮನಗರ ತಾಲೂಕು, ಜಿಲ್ಲೆ ಕೂಟಗಲ್ ಹೋಬಳಿಯ ವಡ್ರದೊಡ್ಡಿಯವರು ಕಾಂತರಾಜ್ ಪಟೇಲ್ ಅವರು. ಅವರ ಜಮೀನಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕಿತ್ತಳೆ, ಸೀಬೆ, ಬಟರ್ಫ್ರೂಟ್, ರಾಗಿ, ಮುಸ್ಕಿನ್ ಜೋಳ, ತೆಂಗು ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನ ಬೆಳೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸದ್ಗುರು ಅವರಿಂದ ಈ ಶ್ರೀಗಂಧದ ಸಸಿಗಳನ್ನು ಈಗ ಸ್ವೀಕರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕಾವೇರಿ ಕೂಗು ಭಾಗವಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸಾವಿರಾರು ಯುವಕರನ್ನು ಜೊತೆಗೂಡಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಒದಗಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಸದ್ಗುರು ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಉದ್ದೇಶಿಸಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥಿಸ್ತೇವೆ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು 4 ಕೂಡ ವೇದಿಕೆಯ ಗಣ್ಯರೊಂದಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಫೋಟೋ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಮುಂದೆ ಬನ್ನಿ. ಅದರ ಸಸಿಗಳ ಸಮೇತ ಬನ್ನಿ, ದಯಮಾಡಿ ಸಸಿಗಳ ಸಮೇತ ದಯಮಾಡಿ ಬನ್ನಿ. So they can also come here.
कालो न जानाति तव जननम् कालो न जानाति तव समापनम् दृष्टो मया तव महाकारः योगेश्वर काल काल योगेश्वर काल काल ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಮಾನ್ಯ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು, ನಮ್ಮ ಯೂನಿಯನ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿರುವ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ್ ಜಾವಡೇಕರ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಚಿಕ್ಕಬಳ್ಳಾಪುರದ ಬಂಧು ಸುಧಾಕರ್ ಅವರು. I will leave my Kannada here, please. Today is World Forest Day. I think one of the most important things that need to happen in the world is we change what is the perception of forest that we have in our minds. If something is in disorder, if something is chaotic, we say it is a jungle. If somebody is uncivilized, we say he is a jungly. We need to change this. Because our gardens may look wonderful, but people who maintain that know how much maintenance goes into it on a daily basis. For 3 months, if you don't maintain it, your garden will be ruined. But for 1,000,000 years, the forests have been. So you must decide which is more orderly, which is better managed. A forest means it's a super well-managed system, beyond our understanding of how it is managed. So our idea of civilization itself has to change. Right now, our idea of civilization is in conflict with every other life on this planet. Only now we are beginning to acknowledge that, as they were pointing out how in our culture, in our tradition, it's always been the unity of life. The word yoga itself means unity, the oneness of existence, not as a philosophy, not as an ideology, not as some kind of a value that we hold, not environmental awareness. Just by observing life, how it functions, anybody who pays little attention to how life is happening cannot ignore any life, whether it's an ant or an insect or even a microbial thing. Without it, we cannot exist. Today, modern science is piecing this together. We have always embraced this as one life because we know our survival is not independent of the rest of the life on this planet. There are many issues that have been said and addressed in these last few minutes. Some of them are very, very super significant because in the last 74 years of independent India, we have never addressed these issues as it is being addressed in the last 3 to 4 years' time. This is very significant. One important thing is we understand that preserving, protecting and if possible enhancing the forest cover is a very important thing to do, there's no question about it. But can we really do it? Because 84% of India's land is under farming. So how are you going to make forests out of it? How are you going to remove the people and bring back other life? Is it going to be possible? We have been talking about man-animal conflict. Well, this conflict is on various different levels. We only count the dead bodies, but that is not the only conflict. Conflict is happening at various levels, which may not be very well documented or recorded, but conflict is happening on a daily basis. This is simply because if we protect the habitat, if our forest departments in every state does their work well, certainly the animal population will rise. When they rise, they need more area, they need more habitat. But we have towns, villages and agricultural farms all over the place. The only way they can accommodate their population is they have to enter these lands. They have to enter any number of situations in Karnataka where elephants are running through Mysore city. Such things have happened simply because their population is well protected, fortunately, by our departments in the last probably a decade or two. The tiger population has gone up, the elephant population has gone up. See, we are noticing only the big animals. But we must understand there's a whole host of other things in terms of insects, worms and variety of other creatures which are very, very vital for our survival on this planet. The big animals are visible, the big animals are appreciated, but if a tiger comes maybe through this glass, the safety of these glass windows you would like to see because it's a rare thing. But if an insect comes and sits on you, you don't want that to happen. We need to understand this, that for us to survive here, to put it very simply, it's like this. If all the microbial, all the insect life disappears today, if all the insect life is gone today, in about 2.5 to 4 years' time, all life on this planet will go, including you and me. If all the worm life goes away, within 18 to 36 months, all life on this planet, including you and me, will be gone. If all the microbial life is gone, life will end right now, because a large part of our body itself is microbes. But as human beings, we think we are the most important life, but that is not how the planet thinks. If all of us disappear today, the planet will flourish. We don't have to celebrate Forest Day. Forests will be everywhere if you and me are not here. So we need to understand our place in the order of life, how it happens here, in the order of significance of life, how it happens here. So on this Forest Day, we need to understand that today our populations have grown, our need for land, our need for building various conveniences has grown. We cannot roll this back. We cannot roll back human aspiration, that is true. It is just that we must roll it forward in a more sensible way. That's all we can do. And at some point, the most unpopular thing that I've always been saying, if you want to save forests, if you want to revitalize the environment, we also have to consider how to manage our populations. It's very, very important. If we… At the beginning of 20th century, the world's population was only 1.6 billion people. Today, it is over 7.4 billion people. So nearly 5 times multiplication. But we don't have 5 new planets to live on. There's only one planet upon which all of us are living. So human population is much easier to control than human aspirations. Right now, we are going on preaching people how to control human aspiration. Well, I know human beings very well, you won't succeed. Yes, it doesn't matter, you can give them teachings, you can give them philosophies, you can give them ideologies, but human aspiration cannot be controlled because that is the nature of the human being. We can make it more sensible, that's for sure, but human populations can be brought down. This is also an important responsibility of every government, both the state and central government is represented here, that we need to think about this. Maybe right now we cannot talk about it, but we need to think about it. There used to be a department and a ministry under Government of India called Family Planning. That is gone and it become Family Welfare. So, this is for various reasons. There are many complications in this, I can simply speak here, but for the government there are many complexities in talking about this. But as a social movement, as a general consciousness in the society, as we are talking about planting trees, we should also talk about making less children. This is being done, but still, population is increasing not only because there are more childbirths, it is also happening because our longevity is going up, which is most welcome and most wonderful. When we got independence in 1947, our average life expectancy of an Indian was 28 years. By those standards, almost most of us should not be here today. But today it is over 72 years, which is a phenomenal achievement for a nation which is only 74 years of age in terms of free India. In 74 years, we have made this happen in spite of variety of difficulties. So naturally population multiplication happens, but that is one important aspect. When it comes to developing forests, it's great that we are talking about 15,000 square kilometers of enhancement of forest area, which is a fantastic achievement by any standards. But that is not the way forward because there is not enough land to do that work. There is some amount of work we can do in that area, but that will be very limited only to arid lands and other lands which are available. But the best way to go forward, which was always our way of farming in this country was… See, I must tell you this, I was at the United Nations desertification program, we are partnering with them on various levels. They asked me, Sadhguru, tell us three things which are most vital to save this planet. I said, soil, soil and soil. There are 39 inches average soil of what we call as topsoil. 87% of the life on this planet thrives in this 39 inches of soil. This is where it is, life. How much water it can store means 800% of all the water that flows in all the rivers can be stored in the soil. This is the greatest dam you have, that if soil is kept organically rich, its ability to hold water is phenomenal. That's what needs to happen. If the soil is rich, our farmers need not be struggling on a daily basis. If the soil is rich, water will be there, vegetation will be there, everything that needs to happen will happen. Our very body is soil. The very body that we carry is soil. Most people don't understand this, unfortunately, till you put them in the soil as the last thing that we do. Till then, most people don't get it, but as we stand here, this very body is soil, the quality of the soil and the quality of the life that we are very directly connected. How rivers flow, how ponds are, how groundwater is, all this depends on the quality of the soil. If we want to improve the quality of the soil, constant recycle of organic material has to happen. The simple thing is just this. If you, let us say, grow 1 ton of sugarcane or whatever other crop out of the land, what you have taken out is 1 ton of topsoil. Everything that you're eating, you eat this much, you eat this big mango, this is this much of topsoil you're eating. If you eat 1 kilogram of food, it's 1 kilogram of topsoil that you're eating. So this topsoil has to go back through organic material. The only two ways that we can do this is by the leaves of the trees and the animal waste. Well, we have removed too many of them, there is no point complaining about what has happened. It has happened, one is by ignorance, another is by greed, another is by apathy. Above all, as a young nation, we had so many other more urgent issues to handle that we did not pay enough attention to these aspects of life, for which we are about to pay a price unless we do the corrections, and corrections are beginning to happen. It's very encouraging. But the most important thing is this, that today the Environment Minister is here and the Chief Minister is here and the Health Minister is here. These three are connected, let me say how. It is very important that they are participating in this, and policies have changed. There was a time, if you grow a tree in your own land and for your own use, if you cut it, you will go to prison, or at least you get arrested. But today, the policy relaxation has happened. Online markets have been set up that you can register your tree and sell your tree online. There's a whole lot of activists who are, they have no activity in their life. That is the important thing. They are only activists. They are always protesting about, oh, don't cut the tree. Well, they have never planted a tree and they're talking about don't cut a tree. A farmer who plants a tree in his land, he has every right to cut the tree. First and foremost thing is, this word, this terminology, there is something called as forest produce must go. In this country, for the level of pressure we have on the forest with our population, The forest produce must be out of our vocabulary. Whatever we need, we must grow on our own lands. Farmers should grow on our lands. If you want timber, you must grow it. If you want forest produce, you must grow it. If you want honey, you must make it happen in your lands. It is possible to do this because 84% of land is under farm, and above all, nearly 60% of the population is involved, engaged in this activity. Definitely it's possible to do. So this step of tree-based agriculture, or what is being referred to as agroforestry right now, must become a full-scale agricultural process. It should… I'm not against the forest department, they have done such a fantastic job, I congratulate them. For the success of Kaveri Calling, their cooperation and their enthusiasm beyond their call of duty has been a significant aspect in making this a successful process. But this tree-based agriculture should move into agriculture ministry over a period of time, because only then it will be treated as a produce. Otherwise, still people have confusions. Oh, how did you cut a tree? Well, I have grown it for my own economic survival and I am cutting it, that's what it means. This means going into the forest and exploiting the forest will stop. When all forest produce happens on farmland, going into the forest and exploiting the forest will cease only when it's available. If we have fanciful beliefs that we do not grow the timber that we need and various other forest produce we are using right now in our daily lives, and we don't grow it on our farms, and we believe forest department can put armed men all over the forest and protect it, it's a joke. Nobody can do it. Even if Indian Army comes and stands, it cannot do it because it's such a vast land, and people will anyway, when there is economic need, they will anyway go and do what they have to do. Actually, the value of the forest produce will go up further and further in the market, which will make it more and more lucrative to exploit the forest. The only way you can bring down the value of the forest produce is to do tree-based agriculture or agroforestry as it's called, but this should slowly move into the agricultural ministry, that the farmers should have the right to grow what they want and crop it according to their judgment. It is not for somebody else to judge when he should crop what he has grown. He can crop it whenever he wants, that is a fundamental right. So, this Forest Day, this International Forest Day is important for us to commit that we will leave the forests alone. We don't have to do any forest development, just leave it alone. If we have to leave it alone, everything that the population needs, which we are right now maybe getting partially from the forest, must come from the farmland. Without doing this, we cannot stop the pilferage from the forests. The economic needs of the people are such, the population pressure on the land is such, inevitably they will forage into the forest and do what they have been doing. It doesn't matter how much of forest departments and how many armed men you create, this is not going to stop. We must shift the economic paradigm so that what you get in the forest is available on the farmland. This is very directly related to our health and well-being. I must say this, I say this very proudly today. In the last 12+ months, since the pandemic broke out in this country and everywhere else in the world, in the Isha Yoga Center outside of Coimbatore, we have 4,600 to 700 people living on the premises. We are active, we are working with the community, our programs are going on at various levels. We have been doing the Kaveri Calling undeterred by this pandemic. Not a single person has tested positive in the last 12 months. But clapping our hands is fine, but you must ask why. Why are these people not getting it? Why is Sadhguru not getting it? Because all the time we are with people, why are we not getting it? Well, protocols, all of you know, the health department and the ministries have put out the protocols, that is one thing, definitely that has to be followed. Very wonderful that all of you sitting with your masks on and the social distancing, this is very vital. Even if you vaccinate, you have to do this. But the next most important thing is, what kind of immune system have you built? Have you been conscious about it? Are you doing the necessary things with yourself? in terms of what you consume, how you live, how you breathe, how you stand, how you sit. This is yoga. If this is brought into our lives, definitely our ability to withstand these kind of onslaughts, which lot of scientists predicts may happen many more times in the next century. They are saying this pandemic is not a one-time thing. Many more things may happen because the simplistic way of looking at it, this is not a scientific data, but the simple way of looking at it is, now they said man-animal conflict, elephants which are happy in the forest, why are they coming into your land? Somewhere water, nourishment is lacking, so they are coming into the town. Similarly, the viruses and other microorganisms which were living in various creatures, those populations have come down. Where should they go? We are here, such a big population, they are coming to us. This is one way of looking at it, but the important aspect is this: human body and human ability to be, we must understand, we have not come like other creatures. For all other creatures, when they are born, naturally 90% of the job is done. Only 10% is left to individual life. With a human being, only 10% is done, 90% is in our hands. This is why in this culture, in this land of wisdom, which we may not be displaying these days so much, in this land of wisdom, we always told you, your life is your karma. This means your life is your making, how you are right now. Your health is your making, your ill health is your making, your happiness is your making, your misery is your making, everything that happens to you is your making. This is the only culture in the entire world which has always said this, that your life is your making. If you want to be something, if you want to take charge of your destiny, you have to perform the right kind of actions. Today, see how relevant it has become with the pandemic. Your life is your responsibility. This is being taught to us by viruses, microorganisms. This is the nature of this land. This is not a land which told you, somebody up there will manage everything for you. No, here, this life is your karma. How you do it is how it works for you. So this is more relevant than any time before, whether it's Kaveri Calling or the various other programs that they're doing right now. In the Paris promise that we have made from the country, India has committed to some 200 to 300 million tons of carbon sequestering. Just the Kaveri Calling, if you take it to its fulfillment with 242 crore trees planted, in 12 to 15 years, just Kaveri Calling, a single project or a single movement can fulfill 8 to 12% of what they have promised in Paris. Now, central government has drawn DPRs for 13 other rivers, 13 rivers. If these 13 projects successfully, if we pull it in the next 10 years, India will be a leading nation in terms of environmental recovery. For the population that we have, for the economic strength that we have compared to Western nations, this will be the most significant thing to achieve in the next 10 to 12 years' time. These goals are for 2030, so still 9 to 10 years are there ahead of us, and we believe that in this country, we have a population and a young population. Nearly 60% of the population is below 30 years of age. When the population is young, if you can't change the dynamics of a society, if you can't change and create what you want to create, that means we are a disastrous population. We are not committed to anything. We are not focused towards our own well-being. First of all, we are not committed to success. This is what is being demonstrated today at various levels, that today this pandemic, India stands as almost number one in the way we have handled it, because somebody up there is committed to success. It is important, no matter what kind of situations come our way, what will come our way tomorrow is not our guess, it can happen whichever way, but how we respond to it is ours. So whether it's environment or pandemic or health situations, this is important that we take it into our hands. Kaveri Calling is a very dynamic representation of this, about how what people think is an impossible situation can be turned around. As they were saying, 15,000 farmers in Karnataka and totally about 1,07,000 farmers in the last few years have shifted to agroforestry or tree-based agriculture. To what extent this is making the change, you must go and visit. There are people who are into this for the last 22 years now. It was amazing for me, I've been keeping in touch with them to whatever extent possible. I always believed if the groundwater has to improve, minimum 50 to 100 acres of tree plantation must happen. But I went to various farms in Tamil Nadu, they planted just 5 acres. In 5 acres, the water has come up on the wells so significantly. That is how amazing nature is, and that's how rich this land is. We must understand this. One spoon, one handful of soil in the Deccan Plateau has over 10,000 species of microorganisms. In terms of biodiversity, it is the richest land on the planet. It is important we keep it that way and pass it on to next generation this way. This is the most important thing, that our soil, if we keep it rich with organic material, the only way, I'm repeating this, the only and only way we can do it is with trees and animals. There is simply no other way. There is no magic wand. There is simply no magic wand. I know Karnataka has banned cow slaughter. It is also important, along with this, the necessary laws come that if you own 5 acres of land, what is the minimum number of animals which must be on your land? The animals are on the city streets, it's of no use. Animals should be on the land. So this law has to come. Now, for example, we are doing Cauvery Calling and this agroforestry. It is important, I would request the Chief Minister here to bring these laws or at least nudge the businesses which consume timber, either the toy manufacturers, plywood manufacturers, furniture manufacturers and various other industries which use timber in their production lines. They must form active marketing platforms where there will be competition to buy farmers' produce in terms of timber. Right now we are importing over 70,000 crores worth of timber from elsewhere. Where is that elsewhere? I'm not talking about another planet. I'm talking about somewhere else in some other country. Part of it is licensed felling, rest of it is stolen from those countries. In the high seas, they get stamped as legal. We are not going to go to Brazil or somewhere else and check whether this was legally cut or illegally cut. That is not our concern. If it comes here with a stamp, we will buy it. So 70,000 crores worth of timber, raw timber we are buying, and 1.2 lakh crore worth of timber products we are buying from elsewhere. This must go to our farmers. This belongs to our farmers. They have not been growing trees, because I know this, I was living on farms at that time. When the fertilizers, the chemical fertilizers came up in a big way, I have seen actually sales managers of companies coming and giving lectures to the farmers saying that if you have this tree, it will eat up all your chemical fertilizer. Good utilization of chemical fertilizer won't happen. First thing is remove the tree, only then the chemical fertilizer will go to your crops and give you the yield. So trees went away 35, 40 years ago in a massive way. They were removed from the farmlands. It is time to put them back. This is the way forward. From forest to farm, trees in the forest, whatever is in the forest is not our business anymore. We must just look at it from distance and bow down to the forest. This is the International Forest Day. This is a commitment we should take, if not immediately, at least in the next 5 years. We must remove the term forest produce from our vocabulary and see that whatever we need for our life here must be grown on our own farmlands. Thank you very much, and I deeply appreciate all of you being here, and Prakash ji traveling all the way from Delhi in a pandemic times, and Honorable Chief Minister just travelled from Raichur and he's here, and I won't thank him because he has to do it. Namaskaram, thank you very much.
ಬಳ್ಳಾರಿಯ ಸಂಸದರಾದ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ದೇವೇಂದ್ರಪ್ಪ ಅವರು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಮಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರ ಇರುವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಗೌರವಿಸ್ತೇವೆ. ನಮಸ್ತೆ. ಇದೀಗ ಗಣ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳು ವೇದಿಕೆಯಿಂದ ನಿರ್ಗಮಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ನಿರ್ಗಮಿಸುವಾಗ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಥಳಗಳಲ್ಲೇ ಕುಳಿತಿದ್ದು ಅವರ ನಿರ್ಗಮನಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಎದ್ದೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ತಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಗಣ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳು ನಿರ್ಗಮಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡಿ. ನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಪತ್ರಿಕಾಗೋಷ್ಠಿ ಇದೆ. ಸದ್ಗುರು ಅವರು ಹಾಗೂ ಇಸ್ರೋ ಮಾಜಿ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರು, ಪ್ರಸಕ್ತ RFR ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಸದಸ್ಯರು ಆಗಿರುವ ಪದ್ಮಶ್ರೀ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಎಸ್ ಕಿರಣ್